Oh,
Escape?
what is this? Doesn't look like me.
Finn, how about that throw, brother?
It's a young Ivan.
You got a better arm than I do.
Young Ivan.
You know you're
Are we on? All right, here we go. It's Landmark Live. Welcome in, everybody. We've been away for a while, but we are back. I'm Ivan Foley. My co-host to my far left over there, Guy Speckman, columnist on Page 3. And our special guest tonight as we kick off the first episode of 2023 is the mayor of Parkville, Dean Catterndall. Dean, welcome in. We appreciate it.
I'm glad to be here.
welcome.
We were just talking before the show. I think we kicked off the fall season of 2022 with Dean Catterndall. And here we are kicking off the first episode of 2023 with Dean Catterndall. So he is our leadoff hitter. Yeah, leadoff hitter. Dean, your city has a couple of tax proposals on the ballot coming up. That's why we asked you to come on and explain some things and take a brutal question and answer session from Guy Speckman and I. So
I'll see if I'm up to it.
yeah, let's check it out and see. First of all, just kind of give us a summary of what's on the ballot and when, and then we'll get into some questions about it.
So we have two tax proposals. The first is Proposition P. It's a public safety tax, so it'll go just to our police department. It's a half-cent sales tax.
Right.
And so that's pretty straightforward, and it's just dedicated to public safety, police, salaries, and equipment and stuff like that. The second one is a use tax, Proposition U. The use tax, a little more complicated to explain.
Right.
It's basically applies our sales tax, which right now is 2%, our base sales tax in Parkville. And it applies it to sales, it says out of state, but basically it's an internet. So if you buy something on Amazon or Wayfair or whatever, this applies this 2% to that purchase.
Okay.
And Platte County has this, Riverside, a lot of the surrounding communities. So it's
Platte City has one. I can verify that for you.
Okay, Platte City has one, and that one is specifically dedicated to infrastructure and capital improvements, particularly the projects coming up most immediately are Highway 9. We're trying to continue the redevelopment of Highway 9, and then pedestrian improvements for Bell Road, which those who are familiar with it's pretty rough. So.
Okay, now these two issues just take a simple majority, I'm assuming, right?
Yes,
Voter turnout.
simple majority. April 4th is the municipal election, and March 8th is the last time you can register to vote.
So it's coming up real quick, folks.
Yeah.
If you haven't registered, you'll want to get out and do that. March 8th is Wednesday, I think. So get on that. So which one should we talk about first? Let's talk about the use tax first, because it's kind of difficult to understand. So again, as you said, the county has that. Many cities around have it.
Right.
So, and Parkville voters, I want to mention this first. Parkville voters have already turned this thing down twice. 2013, it got beat by 10 votes. And then, what was it, 2021,
2020, it must have been 2021.
It got beat pretty bad, like 64 to 36 or something.
Yeah, right. It was 2-1.
Yeah, they treated it like a jail tax, Dean. They just spanked it.
How did they made a mistake.
Don't attach the jail to that.
So go ahead. And why does the city need more revenue?
Well, for the use tax and the dedication to infrastructure and capital improvements, basically it comes down to building a road is really expensive.
Especially in Parkville.
Well,
A lot of hills.
a lot of hills, right? We have a lot of topo that makes it more difficult, but prices have skyrocketed. So we have a grant through the Mid-America Regional Council, a federal grant to do this next phase of Highway 9, which kind of goes past the post office there by downtown, and then also that road that First Street that winds through, zigzags through downtown. And so we have a grant for, I want to say, $2.5 to $3 million, but the project's estimated to be in the neighborhood of $5 million.
And what would that project do as far as you're talking about widening that road?
Widening,
If
if
the one
you're,
that kind of feeds into town.
yeah, if you're familiar with the improvement that was done farther north by the Commons up
Right.
there, where they made it
Right.
3 lanes instead of 2, and they put new curbs and sidewalks on both sides and decorative lights and some landscaping and that, it would be basically the same thing. We'd have to figure out that where it turns by the
What about the
post
triangle?
office there, the triangle.
You're going to take that
and how to
triangle
get-
out, or what's going to happen?
I think it may go out. Something's got to happen there, and there's a lot of
A super
interesting.
small roundabout maybe would fit there.
It'd have to be really, unless
a
we
lot
can
of
get,
roundabouts.
unless we can get rid of the post office, you can't
Yeah.
really get a roundabout in there, and not that hasn't been
I understand.
discussed.
Yeah. Speaking about, we should do a whole show on the Parkville
po-
Post Office sometime. But anyway, that's
And
another
I'm
topic.
you brought that up the last time
Yeah.
I was here, and I said, oh, I don't know.
You said
I'm
there
on
was
board.
you said there were
I'm
no
on-
problems.
I'm on board now. I'm on board. we all have that.
We'll come back and
that
do a whole show
problem.
on the Parkville
Yeah.
Post
So-
Office. But anyway, go ahead.
So, anyways, the capital improvement projects have gone up real high. As a good example, when I first came on as mayor of Parkville, we had a RFP out to do preliminary planning for this part, even before we had gotten the grant, because we knew we were going to do it. It helps to have at least the preliminary plans. And they had budgeted $100,000 to do it, which seemed adequate. It ended up that it was going to be $450,000. And so we didn't do it because it was just, well,
Yeah.
we didn't have
It was
the
four
money.
times.
so
Four times.
we
what you
just
thought it was
we
gonna
just
be.
didn't do it. And we've talked to some consulting firms, and they said it's so hard to get and keep engineers and professionals that they're changing their fees, adjusting their fees 3 times a year now, where they used to do it one
wow.
time. And so anyways, it's real expensive. So we need funds. So we're going to get $2.5–3 million, but we need to come up with another approximately $3 million.
And how much per year would the use tax then contribute to that?
It's very hard to estimate, but $250,000 to $300,000, which would probably be used to pay bonds.
You
or
could
something.
do a bond.
Right,
then,
you could
so
do a
match
bond
the
or
grant.
something like that.
Okay.
So we really, now we're looking for other places. The state's going to put some money into that project, and we're hoping maybe the county would, out of their road tax. They have some money where they'll match projects, but it's really hard to do if the city doesn't have any skin in the game
Right.
as well to get these additional matching funds. So that's the use tax is for that, and to do projects like that.
Okay, projects like that. So basically, how many? I got lost in some of the numbers there. How many years of that use tax revenue are you going to need to contribute to that Highway 9 project there?
Well, it depends on how much other money we can get in, how
Okay.
much state and county money. So it could, given the prices, it might be 5 to 10 years of paying for bonds.
Okay.
And then we have this other
how high
project.
interest goes between.
Right.
now
Well,
and then as
yeah,
well.
that's that too. And then we have this other project, Bell Road, which we also got a grant for, which we were a little surprised that we did, but we got this grant to put sidewalks down Bell Road, which is a real dangerous road. And there's like a guy in a wheelchair that comes up to shop at the Price Chopper and everything, and he's just out in the middle of this road. So everybody's really excited about putting the sidewalks in, but that also requires match. So anyways, that's why we picked that to target the use tax money for those kinds of improvements.
Was the council unanimously? Did the council go unanimous to put this on the ballot?
They approved both of those tax proposals on the budget. They were both. It was unanimous, and we had a long discussion, and it actually came up from one of the aldermen. Well, we ought to target the use tax to this.
Right.
The public safety tax, that's a particular tax that the state legislature allows cities to do for public safety.
Okay.
But the use tax can be anything. And I think in the past, maybe that's one of the reasons it went down, couple times was it was just going to go into the
Yeah,
general
they
fund.
didn't identify what they were going to do with it.
Would do with it, or
Gotcha.
so. Anyways, that's the use tax and why we feel we need it.
Yeah. So how is what kind of feedback are you getting on these proposals so far? Let's start with the use tax.
Okay.
What's the
Well,
feedback
I
on the use
haven't
tax?
had a lot of feedback. You know, there is some, you know, we're a pretty wealthy community too. We should be able to afford these, and people expect quality services, and they want the streets to be nice, and everybody loves what we did with Highway 9, the first section. So I've basically had fairly positive response from, it might be the people I'm talking to.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
And this,
and
2% is
and I have, but I haven't had. I'll tell you, I posted something about, you know, information's available on these two taxes on my Facebook page, which isn't, you know, I don't have like thousands of followers, but, and I usually get some responses. One city staff person said liked it, and nobody.
Well,
you
there
know,
you
they're
go.
all quiet.
At
Maybe
least they didn't get on
nobody
and complain
wants to go
about it.
out there saying, "Oh, thanks."
Pretty-
So I don't know, but you know, and then there's been a little bit of pushback on the
Right.
community.
Citizens for a Better Parkville Facebook
Better
page.
Park.
Now, how do you respond to some of the feedback that you're getting off that page, or do you? Because they're mentioning, well, the city gave away some tax incentives to developers, and the questioning is that why we need tax increases now, due to the fact that those incentives were
Creekside
given?
was
Yeah,
supposed to be a
right,
cash cow. I
right,
think
right.
I heard.
So how do you
So
respond?
none of us said, first of all, none of us said the Creekside was supposed to be a cash cow. So, but and it's not. It's been a good project, and it's been really helpful for the city because we were paying out $400,000 a year in payments for the sewers that went in. You know, everybody went bankrupt. All the landowners went bankrupt in 2008. City got stuck with the property. We had to pay for the sewers through this NID that they put in. And so we were on the hook for 400,000, and it was really draining the city. So we got out from under that. Plus we did give. We did a TIF, and they did a number of these special districts, you know, like a CID and a TD, Transportation Development District, and a Community Investment District, which those impose an extra sales tax that goes to
But it stays in the
transfer
district, though.
that stays in the district. It comes from the district and it stays in
But
the
the
district.
philosophical
But it goes
argument-
to streets.
The philosophical
There,
argument is that it
they're
takes away,
paying for their own.
but that it takes away from the established parts of town. I mean, that's always philosophical of that the development would normally pay an equal share like everyone else for the entire town. I think
But they
that'd be
would,
the
but they
argument.
wouldn't pay these extra taxes, the CID and the TDD. Those are just for them, just for that. They come from them. They're not
Right.
imposed on anybody else, and they go into that project.
Right.
And we have them all over
Oh, I understand.
town.
Yeah.
You know, that's how we funded our portion of the 9 highway improvements we did. There's a TDD up by the Commons there, and Quick Trip, and that thing. And then the TIF takes the taxes, the incremental taxes above whatever the property, which was fallow, was paying, and redirects them back into the project. So you are taking taxes that if they were just paying everything would go to the school district in the city and
Right.
and other entities. But and this is where you can argue. We don't think that project would have been done without the TIF. It's like a $300 million project. You show me a $300 million project in the metro area that doesn't have tax incentives,
Right.
and I'll be shocked.
Right.
I'm sure Hump Midwest is getting a bunch of incentives and everything to do their project. So we started out with a land of fallow property. We were paying $400,000 a year. We were getting no taxes back on it. Mm-hmm. We ended up with a bunch of good services that we think are folks out there and in the city like to have, the restaurants and all that. And we got the $400,000 a year paid for, so they pay for that. They 3/4 of the TIF money goes into the project, but we get a quarter back, so we get about $100,000 to $120,000 a year in taxes, property taxes, sales taxes, tourism tax, because they built a hotel, so we get a portion of that, and then some fees. They pay some administrative fees and stuff like that. So we feel it's been definitely a net, just on a financial base. If you don't look at was a good thing to have those services out there, it's been definitely a positive for the city. It hasn't been a cash cow where, okay, we can just don't have to do anything anymore. You know, if we had a casino out there, if we could get them to put a casino in.
On the use tax though, so it's going to be for a household in Parkville. If you're in the city limits, you're going to pay 2% when you order something. When Ivan makes his daily Amazon order, if he lived in Parkville,
I make my daily Amazon order.
It would be 2%,
right,
that would go on that. And Platte County's already adopted a use tax, so if you're in an unincorporated area,
you're paying it. Or if you're even in Parkville, you're paying it, because we're in
the county's portion. Yeah,
we're in the county, so
yes.
we pay that. And if you're in Riverside, they pay it. And,
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and so I don't know. Does that adequately answer the question?
Again, how much money, sales tax money, do you think you're making off of Creekside out there?
About just about $100,000 from the sales tax and the tour. We have this tourism tax of 5% on rooms. So because they have that hotel out there,
right?
So we get some of that. 3/4 of it goes into their project.
Gotcha.
But a quarter of it comes back to the city.
Guys,
And then they bought the land from us, and they pay us the $400,000 a year to buy that land back, and that goes to pay off the NID,
gotcha.
the sewer bonds.
What is the length on that NID? Do you know?
I think it's in like the mid-30s.
Okay.
Mid-37 or something like that.
Well, folks can argue about how it got there, but you can't argue about what a nice development Creekside is. You know what I mean?
Well, he's done a pretty amazing job that's gone this quickly through COVID.
It just came up out of nowhere almost.
That was my thing when it came to the Planning Commission, and that was, well, this is nice, but this will take forever to develop. And so I've been pretty shocked at how fast.
Well, and just as a quality of life thing for residents, it's so many more options for people to go, find something to eat or whatever. I was just out there Saturday night, had dinner at the new Mexican restaurant out there.
I heard it's great.
It really is. Yeah. So it's.
And Johnny's is supposedly filled every night with.
With KU fans, I think. So Guy will probably not
I probably won't be able to make it down there then. So,
what are you, K-State?
No, I'm a Missouri guy.
Missouri.
Unfortunately,
Oh, I forgot about Missouri.
Yeah.
So, so I think it's been a positive, and we have a lot of different housing options that we don't have really in the rest of the city, too, between townhomes and apartments and the single-family homes. And they're going to build a new school at the south end of the project there, Capital Electrics.
Gotcha. Did you have another question, Guy?
Okay. No, I don't think so.
All right. Hey, you guys, we are visiting with Parkville Mayor Dean Catterdahl, and his city has a couple of tax issues on the ballot coming up on April 4th. So we are just grilling him with questions about those tax issues because Guy Speckman and I typically are not big fans of new taxes.
Yeah, I figured you were more on the tax and spend on this panel. I figured you were the tax and spend.
I'm probably the liberal on the panel here.
We loved putting new taxes on the ballot.
Oh, I bet you did.
We all look forward to it.
I bet you did. But yeah, those issues are on the ballot April 4th. And let's take a quick break because somebody wanted to ask about the farmers market. So let's talk farmers market just for a minute, and then we'll get into that law enforcement tax, which I have a lot of questions on because of your two proposals. That's the one that really makes me want to go, But anyway, okay, let's talk about the farmers market.
Okay.
What's the plan for the farmers market?
Okay, the plan, and and it's been just as frustrating to us at the city as it is to everybody else in town to see that wreck there down where the was. Just to remind everybody, it was hit twice last year by a truck and then a bigger truck. And so
they brought a bigger one in to try to
yeah, right, to finish the
get
job.
this done.
I think it was a magnet for trucks now.
So so ever since then, we've been in negotiations with the two companies, mainly the big truck, which was Englander. They're self-insured. They have the lion's share of the responsibility, we feel. And so they've insisted all along that they could just rebuild it. And so, and that's why it hasn't been come down yet until we resolve that. We can't take it down because they said they're going to rebuild it. So they wanted an estimate of what it would take to rebuild it. And so we got that. The company said, well, this isn't in the form that we want to consider. So we had to get another company, construction company, to come in and do it in the form that they want and everything. And it's got a lot of these big cedar timbers. So we want cedar timbers back if you're going to rebuild it the way it is and all that. So anyways, we just finally got those all set. We've sent them off to their company, and and they're considering it, and our adjuster's meeting with them either later this week or next week. And so we hope to come to a price. And so once we know how much money we're going to get from it, then we can move ahead. We could take it down. We can take this money, and then we'd like to build something nicer and newer to go forward. And so then we'd have to see about getting money from other sources. Either, we have some county park grant money. Maybe some of that could be used, or something else to do the kind of improvements everybody said they'd like to see. We went through a process in the fall, and then it kind of got frozen because we're
still fighting over the insurance stuff.
Insurance status.
Now, do you think the future location or building structure will be something that's enclosed, or are you still looking at like an open air market?
No, I think it'll still be open air. Okay. It'll be similar, but it might have longer sheds, so provide a little more protection. And we might, one of the things we've talked about is making it so you could enclose it in the future if you want to put like garage doors or something. We'll have to see if that's going to be in the final budget or not.
Very cool.
So it's definitely high on our agenda, and hopefully once we get this price, it'll move a lot faster.
Yeah. Okay.
We kind of know what we want to do. Just got to make sure we have the money to do it, and we'll move ahead. Well, but to be honest, everybody's prepared for another summer in the parking lot.
Gotcha. Would you just move it over to the side? Is that what?
We did last year. We just moved it over to the adjacent parking lot.
Gotcha.
And we're sort of debating now where to do it, but good chance it'll be where it was last year.
Well, Guy Speckman and I are both healthy eaters, and so we like to eat healthy. We like fresh fruits and vegetables. So
they're still down there.
Pick you up on a Saturday and run down.
Yes, they're still down there.
We should do that.
And then you can get a burger or a pizza or something to go with all that healthy food.
Well, yeah, where the last time I was downtown there, I ate at the Stone Canyon, and I ran into you that night. I think it was Christmas on the River. That was Christmas on the River night. So. Downtown Parkville is the place to be.
That's right.
Speaking of that, there's even a community improvement district downtown Parkville. So
yes,
you got to pay a little tax.
Right.
Down
you
there,
pay a little extra.
Right. Gotcha. Okay, and the other thing, you guys did some improvements to the Pocket Park down there too, right?
Right. It's right at where First Street comes in and tees into Main Street there. We have this little park. It has a statue of Bill Grigsby in there, and so we took Bill out, cleaned him up. They fixed the.
That's not the first time that's been said.
Just make of it as you wish. And we had to fix the stairs, had to be replaced, and we Did a lot of other improvements, and there's still a few improvements, going to new railing and some plantings and that. And then we reinstalled Bill up on the kind of the mezzanine level, the one level up, with a new plaque about him. And so we had a dedication the day. It was perfect timing. The day
So is it
after
open,
the
is it open
Chiefs.
container? Can you take a cocktail up and have it with Grigsby?
Yes.
I mean, can you?
Well, to show you, when you get involved
Yeah.
with the city, everything is an issue.
That's
So
government.
now that we're going to have marijuana,
Yes.
we have to go back. We're going back and looking at, where can you smoke? Where can you smoke marijuana? Where can you drink? And so we'll have to see if you can
That's a tough choice.
drink
I mean,
there or not, or
you could
smoke
go
it,
get
or have
high
a toke.
and have a
there.
cocktail with.
Right.
And Bill would never have believed that. Really,
Probably not.
honestly.
Have you guys ever done a blood alcohol content check on that statue?
I'm afraid to. We might have to remove them again. So
Shoot. Now,
no,
speaking
but
of
we're happy to have them back.
that, it looks really nice. I like the area where you've got some room to have live music in there too.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
the point, to be able to have events down in that main.
That's really cool. You had some
main
live
level.
music going on there on Christmas on the River night. It was really, really cool deal. But yeah, and speaking of that marijuana thing, Guy, have you noticed that whenever you're out and about, are you smelling more marijuana now? Even out.
Absolutely. I was talking about
Have
like,
you?
I do.
Yeah.
I'm not going to the right place.
Well, just walking through some parking lots.
I
in there.
noticed that, like, when I'm out, I do appraisals for a living, and so in the mornings, I'll notice, like, you can just smell it when you get out of your car. And I'm like, people are just like waking and baking all the time now.
Yeah.
Starting the day out right.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'll walk by cars in a parking lot. No one's in the cars at the time, but you can smell it coming from there. It's just crazy, but it's interesting little tidbit. But
Gonna be interesting.
yeah, it is interesting. All right, are we done with the fun stuff there? Time to get
now
back.
you got to go police, right?
Hey, let's
Now you
talk.
gotta-
Let's
we
have
got to go
Dean.
straight from there right to the
Yeah,
police.
So you're about to attack the police?
What? No. Hey, I just talked to Chief Chrisman. I was about to say a friend of mine. We are friendly together. In fact, I just talked to him Tuesday, I think it was. So, I don't know if you know the history, but there was a previous regime who wasn't real fond of the landmark in Parkville City Hall. But the guy who always talked to me and took my call and would call me up with news tips and stuff. Chief Chrisman. So shout out to Kevin Chrisman. Good man.
He is a good
man. He's a good police chief for you guys. Real good dude.
We're really lucky to have him.
Yeah, you are. But anyway, tell us about the law enforcement proposal that's on the ballot.
So it's a half-cent sales tax for public safety, which would generate about $600,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been trying to, actually for the last couple of years, the city's been raising I don't want to overstate it, but we're kind of in this arms race with other local communities.
How many
to
officers
attract.
on your staff as well?
We,
on your force?
I know I'm going to get it wrong, but I think we have 17 on staff, but we're funded for 20. We have positions for 21 officers. The chief's really particular, which we're all supportive of,
Right.
of who he takes in, who he gets. So it's really hard to get new officers.
Yeah, I interrupted you about salaries. So you're
yeah.
moving
So
the
we've been
salaries up.
raising the salaries even before I came on.
Yeah.
We've been raising the salaries of the police officers and improving benefits and that to attract officers. But it's still hard to attract them. So it's to support those and fully fund those. If we'd actually fully funded the 21 openings that we have, or positions that we have, we actually we wouldn't have had the money. We would have had to dip into our reserves to pay for it. So,
Now, is there any dedicated police funding now, or is it strictly general fund?
It's all general fund. Okay. All comes out of the general fund. And so with the increased costs, and we want to add these additional police officers, because the city's growing so fast, we've grown about 30% a decade for the last 3 decades. So we're more than doubled, and it's even gone higher the last 3 or 4 years with Creekside especially.
Yeah.
And so the police are getting more incident calls. This happens, that happens, and so they're not able to do as much of the community policing, which the chief is really strongly supports and the community really likes. So you see the cops out there and you can go talk to them and say, we're having a problem at this roundabout down here and these guys keep coming. Okay, we'll put something out there, or we'll come watch during when the school bus is out to make sure nothing's happening. When I campaigned for mayor and I went knocking on doors, everybody loves the police in Parkville. They're not only just supportive of the police, but they love how we do the policing and the kind of community policing. If you have a block party or something, they'll show up and that. And so we'd like to fill those vacant positions so we can do more of that kind of policing. And so we just felt that adequately funding our public safety was really important.
And how much money will this bring in annually?
About $600,000.
Well, what's the police budget now? Ballpark.
Oh boy, you'd have to tell me.
Well,
I know. I just heard
it's
someone
complicated.
say, every officer costs about $100,000. By the
Okay,
time
so
you
1.7 there,
and so
or 2.1.
yeah, or 2.1 if we get all the positions filled and that.
Okay.
And
So does this have a sunset on it? The sales tax? No sunset.
neither one of them has a sunset. They're
Okay.
just unlike the park. We passed a park sales tax that has a 10-year sunset on it.
So 600,000 a year, and you think the budget is how much now? You don't know the annual.
Yeah, I could get back with you. I'm sure it's in the neighborhood of $2 million, if not more than that. But
So and there's talk of a satellite station. I mean,
yeah,
there's-
right.
that
That's
kinda jumps
another
out at
thing.
everyone, and they wonder
yeah,
where.
we're kind of a long city. We have this part out west, and
Right.
so we're talking about putting a satellite station in Creekside. There.
You talk about renting space there?
Yeah,
or-
probably renting space in one of the going in one of the existing buildings there. And we've already had some talks about it, and we're waiting on to see if the tax passes. So we have first, it just makes it easier for the cops, so they don't always, they check in downtown, then you got to drive out west.
How long does it take to drive from the?
It's probably 10 minutes or something.
Is it that far?
Or if they speed, 5 or 7.
Would a
I'm sure you don't, Chief. I didn't suggest that.
what's a
So-
what's a half cent then take the Parkville the total tax? I know, and then what's the Parkville portion of it, and then what's the total for
So Parkville's sales tax now, the base sales tax, is 2%. It's
for the city only.
for the city only.
Right.
It's 1% is just general fund sales tax. 0.5% is for transportation, so it goes basically in the public works and for all the transportation stuff. And then a 0.5 cent, we have that 0.5 cent sales tax for parks, and so that goes for parks and improvement in the parks. So this would take us from 2% to 2.5%.
Okay.
So
Now, the reason that it struck me as funny is what's the crime rate in Parkville? I mean, it can't be. You don't get many crimes down there.
we don't. Yeah, we're not. And you'd never get me to say, "Oh yeah, we have a big crime problem."
Yeah.
And we don't. We don't
No,
have a
you
crime
don't.
problem. But we have more as we have more people in, and we have a lot of visitors because the baseball complex out west
Right.
attracts about 1 million people a year now. And
And you get parents like Ivan and those
yeah, we
parents
have
you
to
gotta
go
haul
out
of
and
the-
Parents,
pick
hey,
'em up.
you
Crazy
just paid me a
sport
compliment.
parents.
My kids are 30 years old, so they won't be playing ball out there.
He's still arguing. No, and that was one of the reasons we went with the sales tax on the police, the public safety sales tax is that'll be paid not just by residents of
yeah.
Parkville, but by visitors to Parkville.
Oh, I agree. If
as
you're going to do
well.
that,
So
that's the
they're
way to
gonna-
do it. Yeah.
They'll
It
they'll
just
pay
struck me
their
though
share
because
too.
and it's been a while since I've done that, but probably 8 years ago.
And the city hasn't. My understanding is, city hasn't really increased its staff for 5 or 6 years. So that's in police and the rest of the staff too.
Yeah.
And the city's growing and growing, and so you just have more things
Yeah.
to deal with.
And this is a compliment. 7 or 8 years ago, when I would routinely look at the police calls in Parkville, you know what one of the primary calls was, or crimes was? Shoplifting at the Price Chopper. Other than that, you didn't have much crime going on down there, Dean. And I don't know who was coming in for.
I haven't seen one of those for a while. It's probably
No.
still going on.
I don't
but
know,
It's
but,
on the list.
But yeah, so that
The police
just
squashed that, though.
Oh, yeah,
Look
they
what
did.
happens with community policing.
It just struck me as funny because Parkville, nice community, affluent.
Right.
You don't think of a crime. You don't think of it. You need to increase your budget by 50% or something. So that's what would just kind of struck me as wow, that's it.
But they've been sort of working towards this for
Yeah.
several years to
gotcha.
upgrade the
Okay. Well,
the number of
a quarter cent wouldn't do you.
Would there be
right 5
quarter
cents on your $10 Sonic order.
here's the crux
You can
of these
afford
things.
Sonic.
The crux of these a lot of times that people will say and that residents would say is that you're going to get 600,000 more for policing,
Right.
but how long before some of the general revenue that's now going for policing
Sure, might
starts
go to-
going somewhere else? And
Sure.
so it's
It'll
really
give us more
it's a-
flexibility to
Okay,
to,
so we really
to
can
do other things.
It
But
can be funding other things to be. I mean, if
Sure.
if a different council,
But like on the-
different board of aldermen comes in, they can switch the priorities.
on the park sales tax, we continue to put the same amount of general fund money before the tax came on into the park system
from the general
that
fund.
from the general fund that we did before we do now that we did before
Yeah.
the tax. So we're not trying to
Right,
use it.
right.
Yeah.
And
Well,
usually it's a change in leadership. It's a board of aldermen will change or something of that nature, and you can
Right.
see the priorities. They would take that 600,000 and say, well, we want to do roads, and so then you still have 17 officers.
Oh.
And you just switch the money.
Yeah.
I mean those things.
Yeah,
still
I mean,
happen.
it gives you more elbow room
Mm-hmm.
in the rest of the other things you're doing.
Sure.
So
So yeah, I mean, you've got a great police department. Christman's great.
he is. We're really
you know.
fortunate to have him, and he seems to really like working there, and he's been able to create
Yeah.
the culture.
He's been there a
Really
while.
Honestly,
14
no crime
years.
should
14
be
years.
a compliment and a positive to the effort because I mean it really should.
Right.
I mean because do you want it to get to the point where it's bad and then you have to
Well, that's
officers
true.
at it, throwing officers at it and
That's
that's
true.
too late.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. Exactly. I mean,
And probably there's a lot to a community like Parkville just seeing officers. I'm not going on a
Right.
tax and spend
Right.
Mantra here, but
Yeah.
just the
don't turn liberal on us,
seeing
guy.
it, yeah.
You
I'm
got
not
to.
going to.
You're in the conservative chair. Yeah.
But he's on the left.
Well, he's on the wrong. He's in the wrong chair then, isn't he?
Yeah.
He is our conservative. He sometimes pulls me in when he thinks I'm getting too liberal. So here I am, the
Yeah.
liberal one, saying, "Hey, maybe a
As
quarter
well as
cent would have
yeah.
done this tax instead of a half." But guys over there, hey, I don't know. What do you
I'm throwing around nickels over here.
He's just-
No problem, man.
Oh, fun
So,
times.
Now, do you know? I did look this up today. The sales tax around here. I think you gave us some information on that. That would put the entire city, though. I mean, if you're in the city of
Right.
Parkville, what's it going to be? So,
Yeah, our base sales tax is 7.6% right now. Now that's 4% from the state and something from the county, and then our 2% that goes to the city. And we're only 2 cities lower than us are Riverside and North Kansas City, who both
Have casinos.
just happen to have casinos.
That's a good point.
I'm
That's a
not
fair
trying
point.
to.
That's a fair point. Yeah.
well, unless they're no Parkville. So.
Right.
That's right.
They're no
Get you a
part.
little war
We
started
love
there.
Riverside and North Kansas City. They're
The-
good neighbors.
I did see. I looked it up today. That Westminster over by St. Louis has a 12% sales tax. So
Is that right?
They're the highest.
Okay, we have a ways to go. I don't even know how they'd get that. How they'd get authorization to go that high.
Mhm.
Ivan and I were talking beforehand. For years, revolved around 4 or 5% sales tax in
Right.
total, and then they started to, over the last 20 years, they've started to allow so many entities to use sales tax for different purposes.
And it's been
changed
a real
everything back.
popular, like we had a pretty big discussion, well, maybe we should raise the property tax.
Do you have personal property tax in Parkville?
I think, doesn't every,
Some cities
Wait,
don't.
Platte
what-
City doesn't.
Some cities
oh, you
don't.
don't have personal property tax? I have no idea.
Yeah.
I didn't know we had a choice. I
Well,
thought
cut
that's
it.
just the way
Get
they
rid of it. See what happens.
collect the taxes. Yeah.
Just go in
I'm
tomorrow.
just giving you a little advice here.
Tell the city
Okay.
clerk tomorrow just to cut that off. See how
I'll
that goes.
consider putting that on the next agenda.
Okay. See how that works out. No, the sales tax rate here in downtown Platte City is 7.975. And I think that there is at least one area in Platte City that has a special, what do you call those overlay tax
Yeah.
districts? It's out there by the price chopper.
Transportation
Yeah, and
district or
it has consistently fallen short of projections. Imagine that.
Right.
And then the city has to make.
Now, do you put that on top of the stated price on the paper, or do you eat that as far as what's it say on the paper? What?
Well, it's 50 cents a copy still, but which is sales tax built into that 50 cents. By
Okay.
the way. Yeah.
So
That's
you're
right.
eating that.
I'm
You're
eating that.
for-
I'm
What
eating
a
that,
deal.
and I've been eating that for years. Can you believe we're still only 50 cents? I mean, I can't.
Yeah, how do you do that?
Well,
It's
I
all
don't-
that vast advertising.
Is that what it is? Okay, it's a secret. It's the secret sauce we got going on.
Don't tell us.
No,
we don't
I
wanna
can't
know.
give away my industry secrets. I just can't. Dean Catterdahl is our guest. What else do we need to talk about, Dean? City of Parkville. What's going on down there?
Well, we're about to start a process. We're going to do a citizen satisfaction survey, which we've never done. So how are we doing? How's
Yeah,
the
that's a good
police?
idea.
Yeah, and then attached to that, if you will, is specifically around our parks. So we're kind of updating the park plan. We have a new park director, which we hired in the fall, and there was some controversy, you might remember, around ball fields out in Platte Landing Park and all that. So we're kind of revisiting the plan. What do we want to see our parks to be? How do we want to do that? So that'll be coming this spring. And we're still working on the wetlands in Platte Landing Park. If you remember, the Corps did a project, and they were going to create this wetlands, and some of it didn't work out the way it was planned. Let's
Shockingly,
say.
the core project would not
Well,
work out
I'm not casting
They've done
any
a great job with the
aspersions,
Missouri River.
but we're working with the Corps to correct the problems that arose, and so a lot of people be happy with that. And what are some of the other?
Well, it'll
things
soon be
that-
festival season, and you guys.
Well, it's Brewfest
The beer-
comes in
beer deal,
April.
yeah.
In
I'm
April, it's-
surprised it's so early, but
Wow. Yeah.
yeah.
You ever been to that one,
I
guy?
have not.
I haven't
Oh,
either.
you have to
No.
come down to
Yeah.
Brewfest. That's assuming we're still allowing alcoholic beverages.
Yeah.
Don't worry, that one.
That'll be
Nothing will
fun.
happen to,
Yeah.
to that one.
What else happening? Well, I mean, we don't get you here very often. We got to touch on everything.
Gotta touch on
We
that.
good?
What I should have boned up on
Oh, that's
all the
Is it-
other
do we-
stuff.
Has
Campus
Chamber of
Street.
Commerce or Downtown Business Group done any? Are they in or out on these or at all?
Oh yeah, well we work closely with the downtown Main Street Parkville Association.
in on the
They
sales
do
tax?
a lot of the and they're supportive
They
of
are?
it.
Okay.
And they do a lot of the organizing around these events, like Brewfest is their event, and Parkville Days and some of that stuff.
Have they come out and endorsed your sales tax proposals, though?
Yes.
Have they? Okay.
And-
Okay.
And you
And
put
it
in
needs-
years and years. You told me on the Planning and Zoning Board. How many housing permits? How much you got? a
Well,
lot
we
going on right now?
did over the last 3 to 4 years, we did about 600 permits.
Wow.
And that actually dropped a little bit, through the COVID period.
Right.
And then we had a boost because of Creekside, and we had a number of units out because they had townhomes and some apartments and that, and so there was a bump up with that. So
Right.
so that's a fair amount. I know the school district is this. I can't remember the name of the school. I think it's Cedar Ridge. Anyways, their elementary school there out around K and 45 Highway, they have, portable units for the kids. So they're hot on building a new elementary school south of Creekside to accommodate the increased population out there. And Thousand Oaks keeps building there. We're going to be approving another Platte here in the next week or
The
something.
most suburban neighborhood of all suburban neighborhoods is Thousand
Well,
Oaks.
they're
It's
all three of
it's a
our big
classic. I mean,
ones
you
are
could
all
film a
pretty
movie there.
suburban.
You could film a movie, a suburban movie there, any night of the week.
So listen, does the city do any, do you have a budget for educating the public on these tax issues?
We do.
Okay, tell me about that. How much did you budget for
We
that?
allotted $16,000 to prepare. I sent you that link to the website, and there's some materials, that FAQ and some of that stuff, and some social media stuff. So we are trying to get as much word out as possible about these are going to be on the ballot. This is what, trying to explain the use tax and the public safety tax, and why the board put them on the ballot, and trying to meet with as many groups as we can. I think we're going to be meeting with the Rotary. In fact, I should mention there's a group called the Parkville Living Center, which is based out of the Presbyterian Church there on Main Street, and they're kind of a community group, and they usually hold forums when candidate forums. So they're going to have a forum on this, on the tax stuff, on March 14th. I think it's at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
And
now, do you guys do any mailers?
I think there is one mailer
Now,
planned.
do you do it like the county? Tell me you don't do it like the county. What the county does is they get a political consulting group to kind of tell them who to mail to, and then they send these educational flyers.
Right.
Which, when you're targeting who you're educating, that's not educating.
Well, I hope
that's campaigning.
I think we're going to educate everybody.
Oh, thank you.
All
okay,
the households.
so I'm okay with that. But when they start targeting who they're going to educate, to me that's campaigning. Because
sometimes you target the voters.
I know, but you want to educate everybody and turn them into voters.
We do want it.
And we were talking.
Turn them into voters.
Well, that's why we're encouraging folks to register before March 8th.
I got you.
And we were talking beforehand. I mean, what kind of turnout you think? What I mean, you have.
Oh boy, it is so hard. Like we said, we have 4 alderman positions up, but none of them have any opposition. But there is this county health board, which I understand is contentious.
How many voters you think? 2,500? Is that no?
Oh no!
I mean that there is total.
I think for the mayor's election last year, we had about 1,400, 1,400 to 1,500 voters.
16 grand ought to go a long way towards getting about 1,000 votes.
Yeah, right.
It really should. That's a lot per vote.
I think if we get 1,000, I'd be pretty surprised. Well, you said that one vote on the use tax was like 300.
Yeah, it was like 377 to 367 or something. Of course, that was 10 years ago.
I think if you hit 20% of 2,000 voters, you'd be pretty good.
Wow.
So I don't know. So it's. I mean, that's one of our main efforts. Is just please come out and vote.
They have to
no matter how you feel.
They have to win to register to vote.
They have to what?
When do they have till to register?
Oh, March 8th.
March 8th. Okay.
Next Wednesday.
March 8th. Get on it, guys. Get registered. Everything going good at City Hall? Your office? Your office is good. They got a plush enough office for you. Everything good?
Well, I walked in and I had this big office with an aircraft carrier, kind of.
You got bulletproof glass.
They have bulletproof.
I know.
On the dice. Yeah. I didn't know that. I was going, what are these things here? And the chief says, they're bulletproof. I said, oh, thanks. Nobody told me about that. But so I have this big office, but I said, God, what am I doing with this office? And so I'm now sharing it with the deputy city administrator.
Well, there you go.
So
Well,
make better use of the
consolidating
space
government.
and-
I like it.
right.
I wonder what the deputy city administrator thinks of that.
He's okay as long as I'm not. No, he's okay as long as I'm not there.
That's how many people are about me.
I try to be. I try to be quiet when I
Right,
come in.
right. How many hours a week are you in City Hall? I mean, not that.
I'm not in City Hall
Yeah.
that many hours.
Which is a good thing for a small town mayor.
Yeah, and
You don't want to
the
be
staff
there.
don't want me hanging
No,
over
no.
there.
I mean,
But I do.
You should
I
grab
do
stuff off his
do.
desk every now and then and just read it.
I do quite a bit from home.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a big emailer and
Yeah.
you know, and looking over stuff and suggesting things
Yeah.
and that. And
well,
so-
we've seen some cities. Platte City 20 years ago had a mayor that he thought he had to be down there 40 hours a week. It was ridiculous. 'Cause
well, you
can do a lot of damage
You can
40
do it,
hours
yeah.
a week.
oh, that's why you realize said. I know you usually hate to have a retired person as
Yeah.
mayor because they have all this time.
Yes.
But I promise not to be down here all the time.
That's a good move. That's a good move.
So that part I knew.
Well, hey, everybody, thanks for checking us out. We're going to let Dean off the hook here. I think we've grilled him enough. Guy Speckman, you got any last-minute thoughts for the mayor of Parkville?
No, I'm impressed with all the information he had for us.
He
it
did,
was
and off
good.
the top
It
of his
really
head,
was. It was
too.
good. Yeah, I know. It's pretty good.
He's a smart guy. Tell us all about your collegiate background. We had a little discussion before this all started. Now, tell us all the smartness you have. You've got some degrees in various things. We want to hear about that.
I brought it up. I brought it up to him.
I know
his
it
fault.
wasn't his fault. Guy was
He's
pimping him a
He's a
little.
nuclear
Yeah.
engineer, and also then told me he's a master's in
Uh,
sociology.
I have a PhD in sociology from KU.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that can be correct. I mean, you can do something about that. Go get one from a real university.
So, don't hold it against me. I don't do any of that stuff, actually.
But you're a KU basketball fan. Now.
I am a KU basketball fan. No offense, but they're
I don't
looking
blame you.
good
I don't
this
blame
year.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're looking good this
you're
year.
better.
You going to win the tournament again?
What's that?
KU going to win the tournament again, Dean?
Oh,
I don't know. So
Oh,
I
come
feel
on.
like
I
I've
hope.
been trapped into this
they've
conversation.
been shooting that
Can you
well
walk
the
off
last few, but you can't be greedy. I mean, here they won the Big 12
yeah.
with a game to spare, and
Right.
so
Right.
and the hardest conference in the country. So
Is that Nike guy still in prison or not? He's still there. I can't remember if he's there or not.
good question.
Everything they did back then is now legal. It's now,
Yeah. So what's the argument?
It's all good.
Exactly.
Didn't they?
It's all good.
Didn't they?
It's all legal now. Yeah.
Didn't they release him? Kind of like
maybe
they're
they-
doing the marijuana. The
Yeah.
folks that got charged
Maybe
with
they did.
marijuana.
I don't- of course,
they
he-
expunge his record.
Everything that was against the rules back then is now in play. You know.
Right.
So it's all
Pro
good. That's why
forma.
Bill Self's still there, right? Hey guys, thanks for joining us. Thank you, Dean, for joining
Thank
us.
you.
Appreciate
I
all the-
always enjoy coming up here.
We like to go back and forth with you and have some fun with you. So really appreciate you coming. And Guy Speckman, thank you.
Thank you.
And everybody, we will see you next time. Watch the newspaper. We'll have another episode coming up shortly, we hope. Again, thank you guys. We'll see you next time.